Hey, I'm Decathlon Gamer. Welcome back to FM22. It's Youth Factory, and we are on episode 18. We've won the league title, but that does not mean promotion. Promotion comes through a playoff. We have two groups, and there is a winner from each group that play one another to determine who is actually the promoted team. We've already played leg number one. That was at the end of last episode, and even though we were well in control, not dominating, but definitely in control, it ended up a 1-1 draw. Now, we had multiple times where we had the ball in the back of the net, but they were just offside, or it was ruled out for a push, or whatever the reason, and it ended up 1-1. So this leg, everything to play for, but we come out playing. We are at home, and we come out playing strong, and we've already created a number of times where we've carved through them. And here you can see Matheson sets up Lovas right through the middle, and he gets on the end of it, and it's 1-0. Now, two-legged tie. So the aggregate scoring here, it is 2-1. Now, I checked the rules in between last match and this match, and it turns out that away goal that we scored last time didn't actually mean anything. There is no away goals decider. Of course, I know FIFA has picked that up here recently, but not all leagues have adopted it yet. Well, they have here. So it has been adopted here in Norway. There is no away goal decider. Here's Bergum inside, sets up Norheim, and it's 2! 12th minute, and we are up by 2 goals already. If you have not noticed already, one and only concern for this match at the moment as Bergum, great left-footed cross there. Ostby is playing hurt. We gave injections to Ostby. It's not a bad one though. It's just a stubbed toe that he is playing with. But it was one of those keep him out for 2 weeks or give him an injection. Last match of the season, promotion on the line, we went for the injection. First and only time that I've done that all series. Al finds Calzi inside. Nice overlapping run from him. Osby, great ball recovery there. Matheson finds Calzi inside, but we pass it backwards. Jakobsen comes up though, and Al to the byline. Norheim, chance for a second and our third of the match, but cannot convert on that one as he heads that too high. Oh, nice recovery from Gillo. Gillo really starts poorly on that one, but he recovers nicely to get the block in and force the corner. They get the free header, but can't capitalize. That was just their first and second attempt of the match, actually. That was their first 2 attempts. Free kick. This one, a little bit too far. Can't get on the end of that one. Severede, Osby, Norheim, finds Bergum. Bergum into space, lays it off for Norheim, who gets a third attempt to get what would be a brace for him. Again, too high. Approaching halftime. Can't say it's been all us, but it's definitely been mostly us, even more dominant than the first leg was. And unlike the first leg where it was 1-1, this time the goals have stood, and it's 2-0. You can see, though, we have not done much since we got those 2 goals. Final half of the season, promotion on the line. This would put us up into the 4th tier of this 10-tier series that we are involved in Norway. We've got a ways to go, obviously, still. And promotion, how is promotion going to be to us? Let's start theorizing what's going to happen if we do complete this match on top. I think we're in for a bigger test at the next level as we make it 3. Lovas finishes that one, no flag, maybe just onside on that one. That was pretty tight. He is offside. That should not have counted. We were lucky. Okay, Osby not having his best match and hurt. Let's not make this thing worse, even though we are heading into the off season here. Let's bring on Kumar. Let's be safe. This thing's in control here with 25 minutes to go. Right? You would think. Let's go cautious, though. Gillo on a yellow. No sub for him at the moment, though. He's actually playing decently. Besides the one mistake he made earlier. Stensby Jakobsen gets that one. That looked like it was heading in. Not much power on it, but it does look like it was on target. Block on Grimer. That's Gillow again. And he blocked that attempted cross in. Foul. Dangerous free kick. Free header. Post. I didn't hear it clank, but I did not see Stensby Jakobsen getting on that one. That certainly looked like it was off the post. Norheim Cham. Lavas. Chance to seal. What a save from the keeper. Poorly taken. Great touch to get wide, and you've got the keeper easily beaten. It's a tap-in on the near post, and instead he goes down the middle to ensure he gets it on target. And in doing so, he gave just an ounce of potential save there from the keeper, who then, desperate to keep his team with some sort of chance, and they're down 3-0, but at least some sort of chance, makes a brilliant save. That was definitely the play of the match. Oh, how was that in? That ball looked like it hits the front of the post, and somehow it slides off the inside of the bar. There's no rain, but it slides off the bar and hits the inside of the net. That was off the post, but it shook the net. No, I don't know. 3-1. Okay, let's see this thing out. Let's not screw this up. Time wasting, 85th minute? You betcha. Lavas, again, to seal, and does. It's 4-1. It's 4-1. Okay, subs. Stensio. Gillow just plays that one out. Makes the safe pass. Okay, Gillow, his rating went up a lot for that play. Let's bring on Yildiz. Nice play there from the opposition to set up Egan for that. And Stensby Jakobsen forced to make a pretty decent save. Kumar has not done much since coming on, of course. We've been more on the back foot, but we are about to get into stoppage time. That one into some space. Offside. It was just off, though. Okay, Bergam, quite tired. Let's go ahead and bring on Snellingen. Offside there, too. And the flag is raised in the end, and that should do it. 95th minute, already beyond the allotted time. Now we just need to finish it off. Yildiz with the header, and that's it. We are being promoted. We've done it again. Back-to-back years. Also back-to-back years that it ended up tight in the end. Remember a year ago, it did come down to the last match. Of course, it was two teams dominating over everybody else. And that was more about hanging on. We always looked like it was ours. This year, we were on the back foot. We had to play from behind. And we played so strong down the stretch, winning 17 straight in the league after starting slow. 4 wins, 2 draws, 2 losses in our first 8. We won every match the rest of the season until the first leg here against Barham. That was the only time we did not win after that opening stretch. And that was just that 1-1 draw on the road here in leg number 1. But we easily take care of business in leg 2, and that is going to see promotion. All right, so we're going to quickly make our way through the end of season review. One very noteworthy thing is that we did lose Matheson. He was just loaned back for the year, so Matheson is gone, and that loan has come to an end. So he made 30 appearances, and 7.35 rating will be very much missed. He was playing that defensive midfielder role for us, and we're going to have to fill that vacancy. Kumar is the weakest player on the senior squad, and he's the only backup we have at that position. Let's hope we get a good quality one in the youth intake, or there's somebody down in the U18s that might be slightly more suited to that role that we can bring in. Smaller number of released players this year, but the only other one who played at the senior level for us that we released was Peter Johansson. That actually wasn't even a release. That was a transfer, free transfer. We let him go for free on purpose. Besides Kumar wasn't the lowest. He was the second lowest. It was Johansson who was below him, but Johansson in his 20s, not suited to go down to that lower level, and my senior squad was starting to look a little bit bloated, so I decided to let him go, and we got rid of him mid-season through free transfer. He did well with his new club, dropping down, I believe, 1 or 2 divisions. As bad as he was, it looks like he could have gotten a sell-on clause, but no money, so keep that in mind for future deals. But of course, I'm not really dealing too much with getting rid of players conventional ways, just releasing contracts when we need to. But I think we're reaching a stage where there's going to be a lot more finances involved in the movement of players, hopefully, as finances are still very much an issue for us. We see just a glimmer of hope in the finances this year, that our sponsorship money went up by $14,000. Corporate and hospitality went from non-existent to a small amount of money. Matchday commercial retail, also small increase from previous season and seasons. And overall merchandise up from $22 to $227. And it's still so small. It's very, very marginal gains. But if we gain 16,000 to 17,000 in terms of income, you start translating that as you climb higher and higher. It's something. But finances are still a huge, huge issue for this team going forward. But climbing into a higher division, you never know. Maybe, just maybe, we'll turn professional. I doubt it, but we'll find out in the next day or two, I think, realistically, if that's something that will happen. And that would lead to at least training 5 days a week. And that will lead to a lot of development of players that aren't seeing it right now. A lot more rapid development. Finances, though, will continue to get worse. If we're training 5 days a week, our expenses are going to go up. The overall player salaries aren't going to change, but facility usage will change. It's going to go from 2 or 3 days a week up to 6 to 7 days a week. That's going to have an impact by turning fully professional. And some of our expenses, especially in the youth facilities, going from a few days a week to 7 days a week, could see a huge rise, meaning we could lose a lot of money without any sort of new income. But I have an idea in mind. It's been posted in the comments. If you are somebody who follows the comments, you might be aware of this idea. But I wanted to wait till next season before we have our next vote. But there's something that's been added in to the vote and refined a little bit on what to do going forward to help rescue the team's financial crisis as we continue to climb the ladder. We don't want the series to stall out because of finances, but at the same time, we want to do as little as possible to alleviate the issue because we still want to keep as much authenticity within the series as possible. A couple of crazy stats for you. One, the direct competition between Lovas and Bergam. Oh, it's a real thing. And I'm loving this competition between them because for a long time, Snellingen was kind of the only goal scorer we had, and he didn't score a lot of goals. He did okay. He always did okay. He got enough goals to get by, enough goals to keep us getting promoted fairly easily, but we never looked as good offensively as felt we could. But then we brought in Lovas, and Lovas immediately started doing more. But with Snellingen beside him, Lovas wasn't doing as much as he could either. And he was clearly a step up, but it wasn't massive. But then Bergam comes into the side, and those two, side by side, oh my goodness. Even Snellingen's goal rate went up significantly for when he does get on the pitch beside either one of those two. Lovas and Bergam back and forth all season long on who was outscoring the other one. In the end, Bergam, 28 league goals. Lovas, 30 overall goals. That's because the league playoff final, those 2 matches at the end of the season, didn't count to the regular league goals tally. Therefore, Lovas, who had maybe 27, had a hat trick in that final match. That pushed him to the most goals in the season as a whole, which means they kind of share the title. They were neck and neck. Also, Lovas, crazy stat, 5 goals in 1 match. Our overall best 11 now looks like this. Snellingen still on top for now. I would think that he'll lose his position pretty soon. The surprising thing, though, is that first-year player Bergam is on that list of the best 11. Lovas already making the list as a substitute, but Bergham's first-year player, Lovas 2-year player. So a little surprising on that one, but there you have it. Also, that left mid position, I think, is wide open for changing. Solbach in there for now. We have rotated that position a fair number of times since first starting. And Honore, I think, will be replaced fairly soon. But noteworthy is that both Malum and Matheson are two players that have now parted ways with the club. Both of them in the first 11. Eventually, obviously, will be replaced by somebody else, but they will and are missed. Kelsey did pretty good in Malum's place this season, but we know that Malum would have been a little bit better in that position. Ostby really carrying the load, though. Kelsey partnering well with him, though. Taking a look at Malum, who of course departed a year ago, his first year, he is with Vålerenga 2 right now. Of course, it's Vålerenga who signed him, but they have him playing on their B team. But their B team plays in the second tier, so they're 3 divisions above where we were this year. And he's already shown development. First touch now a 15, so he has developed well this year since moving on. But more importantly is, how did he perform? Well, performance-wise, for a young player who just jumped 3 divisions, and actually that's 4 divisions from where he played, because he was with us in the 6th tier, not the 5th tier. 14 appearances off the bench, just 2 starts, only a 6.47 average rating. So you could see where that kind of translates for us. Ironically, he was one of those couple players that we lost to free transfers before we were able to go semi-pro and do actual permanent contracts and keep players from disappearing on free transfers. It was Gooey that had picked him up. Ironically, I hadn't seen that. But anyway, to go from the 6th tier to the 2nd tier and still be able to get almost on the pitch, you could clearly see that 2 stars, 14 substitute appearances, and just a 6.47. 2nd tier is a little too high for him. But you would think 3rd tier is probably pretty dang good. 4th tier, you would think he's going to be really good for. And that's Malum. Malum was one of our better players. So based on that, you could look at our squad and go, okay, we're still well suited to the 4th tier. 3rd tier might be a little bit of a challenge. 2nd tier is definitely above our heads as of right now, which means we are going to have to develop. Something has to change. That's just at least one indicator. It's one player. You never know, right? You never know based on one player. He's got an acceleration of 6, pace of 6, jumping reach of 4. I mean, this is not exactly a high quality player. Quick look at the club vision. Their expectation next season, just mid-table. Their expectation long-term, the 4 years following, so our 5-year plan, is just continue to be an established team at that level. There is no vision or hope on the horizon of any further promotions than what we've picked up. We've reached the 27th of December and our next election day for chairperson. Again, this club is fan-owned. Elections held every 3 years. I thought I saw 2 years ago that Martin Rosfell, the current chairperson, was deciding that he would step down. But now, 2 years later, apparently, he's changed his mind. I just never saw an update of that. He is running for re-election. He, which I think the limit is 3 terms, and this would be his 3rd term, he once again is promising nothing. So he is going to do absolutely nothing if re-elected. Let's hope. I haven't even seen a name show up. Let's hope somebody else gets the job, because he has done nothing. He's planning to do nothing, and doing nothing continues to leave us in a tricky spot. Well, this is unfortunate. Rosfall has won re-election, and comfortable was his margin of victory. It does look like it was a little bit unfortunate that there were 3 opponents in opposition for the on the ballot, and that really divides, right? Either you like Rosfall or you don't. When there's 3 people coming up and none of them making themselves widely known, it's hard to take over. His goal is to get the club back into sound financial footing, but he is wanting to continue taking the club forward, meaning he is giving himself credit for something that he's had absolutely nothing to do with other than giving away players to help with the club's finances, which means he's going to continue down that path, presumably. No plans, zero investment at this point in time. Another season gone by, and we do continue on with our climb for the time being. That being said, the financial situation remains as it is. We're going to be playing at a higher level. I am not going to do an immediate vote. I want to see at least the beginning of next season, see how it progresses. But here's my thought. The vote's going to come later, like I said, mid-season, maybe next episode. But what I'm thinking of doing now is, instead of offering cash, keep the club in the cash situation that we have right now. But there's a couple things that have been changing. One is the club reputation. You can now see we're at a 1,700. Remember, we started at 1, and it's out of 10,000. That's a decent climb that we've made, but it's a long, long ways from where it could or should be. Now, the minimum club attendance that we started with was a 1. The maximum club attendance that I think we started with was something like 500. That's both of those have pushed up a lot. And the average club attendance, which I think was set to about a 40 when we started, now shows a 129. But when we've been on the road, we've had a lot more than that 129. We've had substantial following when we're on road trips. At home, though, our stadium with a 100 capacity has been at capacity every single match from the very first season on. We've never had less. Stadium condition is very poor, and we've been stuck on 100 for the longest time. And with no money, we haven't been progressing. Now, I thought about a cash injection as the answer, but now I'm wondering if there's a different answer. And the different answer being just a way to bring in a little more money, but not change any of our circumstances, as in increasing the stadium capacity. So the next vote's going to have one of those options. Now, I did some math. Last season before, we're bringing in anywhere from 15 to 17,500 per year in terms of finances coming from gate receipts, season tickets, merchandising, match day income, corporate facilities, right? The combination of things that have to do with what money we bring in with the stadium, with our home matches. What that amounts to, well, obviously we're losing significant money per season. We lost $350,000 this last season. If we're losing $350K and we're bringing in 17,500 total, do the math, and a 2,000 seat stadium, if we fill it, and that's a big if, but if we fill it, would be right about break even. That's all. Break even. No positive balance, nothing like that. But if we have 2,000 seats, and if we had 2,000 fans to fill said seats, then we would be right about break even. Now, there's no guarantee that we would fill it if I do nothing to change any of the other circumstances. If I just boosted our capacity, seating capacity and overall expansion capacity, you're right to 2,000, and changed nothing else, that little tweak gives us a chance to bring in the income we need to right about break even. Now, of course, our circumstances are going to change this next year. We're pushing up to a higher division, and over the last few weeks, I've had 6 players come out and politely demanding / requesting new contracts that are putting them from a $300 value per year to $2,000 to $5,000. plus bonuses per match. I can get rid of the bonuses, but I'm allowing them to take these new contracts, take these new deals, and push us forward in payroll a bit, because I want it to be at least fairly authentic, and that authentic piece matches, the players' wants and desires, and getting to a new higher division that is starting to feel a little bit more like the real thing and the right place to be. And said, when the next vote comes out, I will include cash injections still as an option. There will still be a do nothing option, but I will also include now a stadium option, and starting to whittle the list down a little bit, because there were a couple things that didn't really get voted for, but then there was very much a top few, and nothing had 50% majority, even though the highest vote getter was do nothing, which is why we did nothing at least for one season. It didn't have a majority. Majority wanted to have a cash injection. They just couldn't agree on how much. So it still seems inevitable that we will do something to keep this playthrough on the go, but only impact it minimally, and the stadium might be the way to go with that. Moving forward to March, we've had a little in-house drama with some players that want to have bids accepted or want to leave because they're not good enough, where I'm, at least at the moment, trying to get a little bit of cash for those players that I'm more than willing to part with, the ones that aged out of our U19s program. Meanwhile, though, here is our new intake for the year, and once again, we are seeing some talent coming through. We have a 4-star superb rating for the senior team, one of the best players, Fawoli, attacking midfielder, 12 tackling, 10 marking. This guy looks like this is somebody who maybe I need to convert to a more defensive-minded center mid. He is actually also a center back and a center mid, which, of course, we do need a center mid now that we lost Matheson, but he is the defensive mid. We do have some other talent, though. Another deep line playmaker, center mid. This time around, we get a pretty weak one at goalkeeper who came in, probably not going to make the cut. These two top talents likely to not make the cut as well, in particular based on their position. However, that credibility part could. I mean, I've got a number of starters who are around that 2.5 star observable talent level, which means maybe they're not so bad. With all but that last player, that weak goalkeeper, signed on, or at least at the moment, this is a look at our intake, and you can see very different this year. For one thing, 0 players with a better than 100 current ability, though there are obviously a few that are close in the 90s, but not one player. So potential significantly lower this year than in past seasons, but the current ability, well, that's a different matter. You can see there's 2 that are 50 plus. Fawoli, the top one, 70 current ability. This is now our second best player in the entire roster. Much better than anybody else we've ever had coming in, current ability, and much better than, Bergam last year. So Fawoli, I will have high expectations immediately from him, and he'll probably come straight into the starting lineup, especially now that we have one vacancy from the end of last season. But another 50, a 58, a 57, and 2 more 50s. So I think we've hit a point where I can get just about the entire squad, senior squad anyway, with 50 plus. There's a number of players in that 40, low 40, mid 40 range that we can probably just about swap out now, because there are a couple of the priors that are also in this range. Mustafa Al-Salih, a 55. All those new guys, I mean, that's how good they are compared to the U19s that were there. Lingbo, a 51, though Lingbo about to head out on loan. You can see even just the U19s now is loaded with some talent. In comparison, you can see Ostby has progressed all the way up to an 81. Bergam, who started last season at about a 62, 63, is now a 67. Jakobsen, who was in the high 50s, Acerud, who was in the high 50s, and Severide, all topping 60 now. So again, that progression has stepped up a level. It's definitely going somewhere. But there's the end of the list of 50s. The U19s list is almost as long now. Combining those down is definitely going to be a step up for us. But I'm not going to do all of them immediately. I'll keep a few of them around. I'm not going to bring up 8 players out of the U19s without any experience, and I try to blood them in a little bit. Bring up a few key guys now, and then start to bring up some others. There's already guys that have now played a full year of U19s from last year's intake, and I might grab 1 or 2 of those and bring those up. But you got to believe that, well, for one thing, Sjovold, Vagel, Skovli, they're heading out. Vagel already now out on loans. We won't worry about him this season. All 3 are listed for minimal amounts, but no offers at this point. Sorensen, I'm done with Sorensen as the backup, so that's another one. Those 4 are all going to be parting way. And then we're looking at 40 pluses. But this whole bottom end of this, those guys are probably going to be released or sold or loaned out. They're all still really young. I mean, that's one thing to think about with this team, this roster, is most of the team is quite young. Yildiz Honore could be on the move as well. I mean, that whole group could be the equivalent of our reserves that I send out on loan to get development elsewhere while I bring up some U19s to replace them. But of course, only one of those is a starter in Stinsby Jakobsen. I think we've finally hit a high enough level that it is time to move on to our, 2-3 year post intake alternate keeper option. Sabani hasn't been developing either. He's still just a 46, so we'll have to keep an eye out where and what has happened. Okay, well, the good news is he has developed a little bit this past year. He yo-yoed a little bit the first year. Nothing else happening. Very much stabilized for the next most of a year. And finally, we're seeing a little bit of action here over the last couple of months. Some of that natural, but still a little yo-yoing. The regular season does not begin today. Our first ever cup run does, though. And actually, we're playing a team in the division below us, the division we just left behind. And yet, somehow they are heavily favored. Yeah. Right? Okay. Fine, if you say so. And not even marginally, like heavily. Also, something heavily. Preseason predictions have us just about to the bottom of the league, 10th out of 14 teams. And instead of fighting for mid-table, now the objective is avoid a relegation battle. So we've got an interesting season ahead of us. Is it going to be that bad? Probably not. I think we'll settle in a little bit, but we definitely have a hole at defensive mid. And I'm trying something. Fawoli, the American from the youth intake who is quite talented, quite good. He's very much a defensive midfielder in terms of attributes, in terms of skill. And without Matheson, we're hurting in that department. We're hurting big time in that department. Kumar is nowhere near as good as Fawoli. And when you take Kumar and compare him with Kalzi is much better. And we have another young player who is also even better. But again, that's center mid. So we have some depth at center mid right now. And instead of having too many complications and trying to fit too many guys in there, I decided to convert one. And Fawoli is the best anchor for your midfield. He's got enough to help in the attack, but he very much provides solid support for the defense. All right, second half underway. I'm going to focus a little more on the contest here. There's no expectations for this tournament, and that's going to be a yellow card. Nice free kick spot there, but neither team doing much in the first half. They have slightly more XG, and they just added a couple shots here at the hour mark, but it's been a very, very quiet game for both. Bergam, Lavas offside. Fawoli playing really well for somebody who's out of position. 7.1 rating for him. Calzi is struggling. Why don't we give a chance to our new guy, Kent Pena. Pena about to make his debut. And realistically, those are the only two besides Sabani who I expect to see significant time on. But there's some other changes. Others are going to be more off the bench. Lavas might be onside here, might not. We'll see. Is there a flag? No flag is up. We might have gotten away with one. We'll see here in the replay. It was awfully close. Bergam turns. That's onside. That's level. Barely. Lavas just off the keeper's right hip. Well placed. Nice finish. And that may be enough to see this one out. Yes, he is on. Okay, Al on a yellow card. One cleared away. Here's Pena. Our first visible touch on the ball for him. Astencio takes it to the corner. Is going to cross that in instead of hold it into the corner, but it earns us a corner kick. Final minute. Pena not doing too well on his debut. Time is up. Think about what kind of sub to do to kill this thing off, but it should be done. There it is. Final whistle. And we're going to get out of the first round. Not dominant in any way. The goal being ultimately the only difference in XG, but all of their XG came from that first half chance. 0.35 out of the 0.65 that they eventually mustered. We had pretty much a goal in us with a 0.77. 8 shots, 3 on target. We were just slightly better, certainly better in possession. On the road, things might have played out a little different. Fawoli impressive, though, with a 7.3 rating. His first, that matches team leader Ostby. 2 on top. Got a pretty good performance as well. Payout's tiny, but we got some sort of prize money. It's the first prize money we've had in this entire series. We are still 2 divisions away, or 1 division away. I think we're 1 division away, plus you have to win promotion to start seeing some sort of prize money, as I looked at the rules a little while back. So sort of 2 divisions away, as it takes promotion to start actually getting the prize money. But yeah, it's nice to actually have something. So the cup does come with a little bit of money, but of course there's team bonus and all, so it's going to almost certainly go right back into the pockets of the players. But it's nice to at least have a little bit of money coming in, some other method to bring in some money to the club. That is going to do it for this episode, though. I'm Decathlon Gamer. Like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you next time. We're going to kick off the season. Have a good one. Be safe out there. Bye for now.